This is a topic I've wanted to talk about for a while. I wanted to put it in my Sora character analysis video, but could never find the right place to put it in. But with Kingdom Hearts 3's opening song Face My Fears being released last week, I can't think of a more appropriate time to talk about this. Sora's fears are a topic not touched on in the games much. I haven't read the novels yet, so I don't know if it's covered there though. We know for a fact he's not scared of anything from Halloween Town. He even liked the idea of a Halloween Town Christmas because, come on, Sora's like slightly emo and we all know it. But we also know he's not afraid of giant monsters or villains with world-ending schemes. Hell, this boy isn't even afraid of death. So what is he afraid of? Many speculate that he's afraid of losing his friends, which makes a lot of sense considering how important they are to him. Roxas has also explicitly stated that the thought of losing his friends terrifies him, which could also add to Sora's own fears. But the thing is, they already have lost their friends, or at least come close to it. Roxas had to kill Xion, and Axel sacrificed himself to save Sora. Riku betrayed Sora, kept Kairi from him, and was possessed by Ansem, getting trapped in the realm of darkness. Kairi lost her heart and became comatose, forgot about Sora, and was kidnapped by Organization 13 for the purpose of just pissing him off. If Sora's fear is losing his friends, he's already come very close, which may fuel that fear, but it hasn't appeared to have shaken him yet, and I want to say this as I wrote this before the cinematic trailer that dropped on the 16th. It does appear that Sora is upset at the thought of facing Xehanort alone. So, just getting that disclaimer out there. But to me, I think Sora had one major fear for the majority of his life, but changed after the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. The first had to do with Riku, and the second fear had to do with himself. At the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, the player is asked to answer questions that determine the speed at which the player levels up to a certain point. Normally, I wouldn't read too much into stuff like this since it's mainly just mechanic-based decisions with a narrative twist on it, but there are some answers that are obviously what Sora would pick. For the question of what's most important to you, being number 1 does make a lot of sense in regards to beating Riku, but from future events we know Sora doesn't forsake his friends simply to be the best. And Sora has never prioritized objects over friends, so obviously he would pick friendship. The second question, what do you want out of life, is a bit more difficult since all these answers are something Sora could choose. He does want to see other worlds, so we could say that's, the rare sights. And we could say that Sora wants strength to protect his friends, just like Riku. But in Kingdom Hearts 1, Sora explicitly states that he wants to learn more about the outside world to Ansem in the cave. What are you so afraid of? This one is the most difficult because again, we've never explicitly seen or been told what Sora is afraid of, but we do know that he's never shown fear of getting old. Master Xehanort actually is the one who's shown more of that, although, by the way, just take that with a grain of salt, because probably Master Xehanort wasn't even an idea of a character back in 2002, but he has shown more of that fear of getting old by transferring his heart into new vessels to achieve his goal. And Sora has rarely shown to be afraid of making a decision or making the wrong one. He would later wonder what to do after learning about Organization 13's plans in Kingdom Hearts 2, but it never stopped him from making the decision to save people from the Heartless.
It's what his pure little heart wants.
That leaves being different. But why would Sora be afraid of being different? If you watched my analysis of Sora's character, you know that I agree with the concept that Sora is a normal boy, thrown into extraordinary circumstances. He's a kid who deals with ordinary problems, which makes him a character the player can relate to. And what is more normal than a high school-aged kid facing criticism from his peers for being different? Particularly for Sora, it's the difference in strength between him and Riku. Later in Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora admits he thought Riku was better at just everything, and honestly, how could he live up to that? Sora was different from Riku, and until the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, it was difficult for him to accept that. Eventually, he learns that being different, being him, was just fine. So what's Sora's fear post Kingdom Hearts 2? To answer that, we look to Dream Drop Distance, the anti-Black Coat Nightmare, and the Friends Are My Power scene specifically. The story summary for The World That Never Was describes the anti-Black Coat Nightmare as a personification of Sora's nightmares. And while this has a literal meaning, in that it is the Nightmare Dream Eater keeping Sora trapped in the nightmare Xehanort put him in, the word personification indicates a deeper meaning. If this is just a Dream Eater, why has it taken form of a member of Organization 13 when it could have just been another animal? One interpretation then is that Sora is afraid of the organization, which does make sense given that they've hurt him and his friends and used him and Roxas for their own goals. But I think Sora is more afraid of what the organization represents. As for what they represent, we have to look at the Friends Are My Power scene. When Xigbar reveals that the organization's true goal was to transform all the members into Xehanort's vessels, Sora asks Xigbar,
But you, aren't you scared of just turning into someone else?
Sora had just told Roxas that he deserves to be his own person, so he acknowledges that nobodies can be their own people with their own unique personalities even before they grow hearts. And even though Xigbar is his enemy, Sora is still concerned at the concept of Xigbar or anyone else losing who they are. This is significant because Sora, a year earlier, had learned to accept himself, and now he's faced with the concept that anyone could lose who they are if Xehanort chooses them as a vessel. And when Xigbar explains,
Me? I'm already half Xehanort.
Sora is shocked. The concept that he was just introduced to has been realized in Xigbar, and Sora can't really seem to process it. And Sora is next, the last vessel chosen to be Norded to complete part of Master Xehanort's plan. What is more terrifying to someone who just learned to accept himself than the concept that he could lose himself? And that is what I think the organization represents to Sora now, the concept that he could lose himself. So when Riku tries to wake Sora up, the darkness surrounding him takes the form of his biggest fear, the organization, and how it represents loss of personal identity. If this really is Sora's fear, then still being a candidate for Nording in Kingdom Hearts 3 means that he will have to face this fear. I've personally wanted Sora to face some sort of psychological repercussions for his prolonged time steeped in darkness, and this may be the way I get to see it. Mainly, I want to see how Sora deals and conquers with his fears because I know it's going to be spectacular.